I welcome you to this Eelam Tamil's brief history documentary. What is Eelam? Where is Eelam? Eelam is an island in an Indian Ocean just below South India. This island had been called by many names. Historically, Tamils are native people of this island. Call this as Eelam or Ilankai. English call this island as Ceylon. Sinhalese call this island as Sri Lanka. All world academics agree that Tamils are one of the oldest civilizations existing in this world. This documentary covers Eelam Tamil's major historical events from prehistoric period to 1619 AD. In the world history, after civilization, the earth was divided into many countries with boundaries. Some countries disappeared altogether by natural disaster, and violent invasion. Unfortunately, all small island nations faced natural disasters and violent invasion by other larger nations. In the case of Eelam, this small island Tamils faced tragedies by nature and violent invasion by nearby countries and particularly European colonialists. This brief video documentary covers Eelam Tamil's essential historical events from prehistoric period to till fall of the Jaffna Kingdom to Portuguese colonialists in 1619 AD. Eelam prehistoric period. Prehistoric period estimation varies. The Western academics define this as 10,000 years ago. It was a period before civilization. Tamil history classification based on Tamil academic periods. First academy 10,000 BC to 50,000 BC. Second academic period 1000 BC to 10,000 BC. Last academic period 300 AD to 1000 BC years. Scholars claim that there was a vast Tamil region. Kumarikandam consists of thousands of large and small islands gradually submerged into the Indian Ocean during first academic period. So far, there is no archaeological research carried out to find this lost Tamil continent. However, Tamil academic books support evidence for this Tamil lost continent. Eelam was part of the continent connected to Tamilagam, South India mainland. You can see in the Google Maps sunken continent of Kumarikandam Islands. Scholars claim that Tamil's language and civilization originated during first Tamil academic period in Kumarikandam Islands, including Eelam. You can look at this sea mountains in the map, which is mentioned in the Tamil academic books. There were 7 regions and 49 countries lost into the ocean, according to Tamil academic books. Eelam Islands. Eelam and thousands of small islands in Indian Ocean, arguably the remains of Kumarikandam. Among those islands, Eelam is the largest beautiful island except Madagascar. Eelam is connected to Tamil mainland Tamilagam with narrow strip of sand mounds in the shallow water sand-based sea, Fork Strait, in between Tamil Nadu and Eelam. It is short distance from Tadaimannar Eelam and Dhanushkodi, Tamil Nadu, which is walkable distance during summertime. You can see those maps. There are thousands of islands in the Indian Ocean. This is Ravanan, the legendary Eelam Tamil king. Ravanan was legendary Eelam Tamil king with remarkable skills. He ruled Eelam and Tamilagam, South India, 5,000 years ago. He was Lord Shiva disciple or devotee and strong Saivite Hindu. He specialized in major 10 forms of arts, noticeably medicine, dance, music, astronomy, and astrology, and so on. According to Chitas, the academics has been classified to 64 form of arts. He wrote 24 books. We still have some of his books, specifically the medical book. This song you just heard was written by Ravanan 5,000 years ago during the second Tamil academic period. You see his ruined palace still exists in Sigiriya, the central part of the Eelam island. He built many temples, including the one in Trikeswaram in Singamala, the east coast of the Eelam island. He also built many temples in Tamilagam, South India. However, he was portrayed as an evil person with 10 heads by irrational fiction writers. These writers twisted his true high moral personality in their fictions as villain. Archaeological evidence proved that Ravanan ruled the Eelam island with his devotion to Lord Shiva. Eelam, Chola king, 205 BC to 161 BC. After Ravanan, there were many Tamil kings ruled Eelam. Even by the time Sinhalese arrived at the island 2,500 years ago from Bengal, India, they were welcomed by a Tamil king. As Sinhalese began to settle down and subsequently grew in numbers by migration within few centuries, they formulated language for themselves, Buddhism as their religion to distinct from Tamil. Sinhalese began to quarrel for power sharing. Eelam, the humanitarian Tamil king, finally settled down the power sharing and handed over the south of the island to Sinhalese rulers. He settled down with the Tamil kingdom in the north, which is closer to Tamilagam, South India, to maintain linkage. Eelam died in the battle with Sinhalese king Tottekayimanu. However, he was well respected by the Sinhalese and his Tamil kingdom in the north. Since then, Eelam was divided into Tamil and Sinhalese kingdoms. Chola Empire, 1840 AD to 1279 AD. Eelam with Chola Empire was the most prosperous and peaceful time for Eelam Tamils. Chola ruled the entire island. The Sinhalese were respected and left them to manage their own region. It is the proudest and highly honorable Tamil empire, even in Indian history as a whole. As you can see from the map, the regions in blue was under Chola Empire direct rule. The pink region were under Chola's influence. The Tamilakam covers Eelam and stretch up to southern part of Kalinga. Rajaraja Cholan and his son Rajendra Cholan were the most popular Chola Empire kings. Chola Empire possessed formidable armed forces. The sea power was incredible. Eelam Tamils were enjoying the freedom and the power of Chola Empire. Even today, Tamils are proud of Chola Empire and particularly the temples built by Cholas. In this time, there was no Christians or Muslims in this island of Eelam. There was only Saivism, Hinduism, and Buddhism, which evolved from Hinduism, followed by Sinhalese. There was no room for ideological conflict in Eelam. Eelam was part of Chola Empire and unique region. Jaffna Kingdom, 1262 AD to 1619 AD. After Chola Empire, Pandyan Empire emerged and managed the Eelam Tamils area. Eventually, Pandyan king handed over to Arya Chakravarti king from Ramanathapuram. Once again, Jaffna kingdom was formed as a separate kingdom and the Jaffna king dynasty began in 1262 AD. It was a troublesome years for the kingdom. It faced many problems. However, Jaffna was ruled by the king dynasty, but it was powerless kingdom. Without the support from Tamilagam, as Pandyan Empire eventually declined. After collapse of Chola Empire, the rival Pandyan kings was not successful to take over the power base created and controlled by Chola. So Jaffna kingdom didn't have the real support from Tamil. Even though few Tamil Nadu regional powers came for support to steady the kingdom, this was not enough to contain the Jaffna kingdom size as Eelam established in 200 BC. It gradually reduced to this smaller region in 1350. You can see it in the map. Portuguese arrived at the island in 1505, initially for the trade. Later they began to capture the island and establish control of the south of the island. There were many incidents of pitched battle with Jaffna Kingdom. Jaffna Kingdom survived with some support from Tamil Nadu regional kings. Portugal or Portugal, 1495 to 1619. Portugal was a small country lying along the Atlantic coast of the Iberian Peninsula in southwestern Europe, once continental Europe's greatest power. Portugal shares commonalities, geographic and cultural, with the countries of both northern Europe and the Mediterranean. The Kingdom of Portugal in the 15th century was the first European power to begin building colonial empire. The Portuguese Renaissance was a period of exploration during which Portuguese sailors discovered several Atlantic countries and colonized the African coast, discovered an eastern route to India that rounded the Cape of Good Hope, discovered Brazil, explored the Indian Ocean, and established trading routes throughout most of the southern Asia, and sent the first direct European maritime trade and diplomatic mission to Ming China and to Japan. The Portuguese discovery of the sea route to India was the first recorded trip made directly from Europe to India via the Cape of Good Hope, which is in South Africa in the Atlantic Ocean. It was undertaken under the uh, command of Portuguese explorer Vasco da Gama during the reign of King Manuel I in 1495 to 1499. This is considered to be one of the most remarkable voyages of the Age of Discovery. It consolidated the Portuguese maritime presence over Kerala and the Bengal Sultanate, and the country's dominance of global trade routes. Portuguese landed in Ceylon or Eelam Island in 1505 and took control of the southern port for trading purpose. They began to colonize and control south of an island. They converted the coastal island people to Roman Catholic. They attempted to control the northern part of the island. Jaffna Kingdom fearlessly resisted with the support from Tamil regional kings from Tamil Nadu. However, the Portuguese came with more troops and firepower to conquer Jaffna Kingdom. Last Jaffna king, Sangali Kumaran, 1617 to 1619. The last Tamil king of Jaffna Kingdom was Sangali Kumaran. He was controversial and complicated. This dynasty survived with many family disputes throughout their reign. However, there was no doubt about Sangali Kumaran's love for Tamil culture, people's religion, and maintaining relationship with mainland Tamil Nadu. He married to Tanjavur princess. He faced many problems with Portuguese colonialists who occupied the south of the island. They were threatened to hand over the Jaffna kingdom to establish trade route. The king refused and preparing for war. As usual practice, he sought support from Tamil Nadu regional kings. There was no empire at the time. Regional king from Tanjavur sent him 5,000 troops to support the Jaffna kingdom. There were pitched battle in between Jaffna, Tamil army and Portuguese in Kites. Portuguese were defeated with support from Tanjavur troops with Jaffna kingdom army. However, Portuguese were preparing for land and sea invasion. The king was preparing for final battle. As an honor, Tamil kings never surrender. They go for fight to the finish war. By June 1619, there were two Portuguese military expeditions to the Jaffna kingdom. A naval expedition which was repulsed by Nayak and his troops, and a land expedition by Philip de Oliveira and his army of 5,000, which was eventually able to defeat Sangli, the warrior king, and the minister Mudaliar troops. Mudaliar was killed in the battlefield to defend the kingdom and to safeguard the king. This is the end of Jaffna kingdom. There were pockets of resistance which was met by guns and cannons by the Portuguese. Mudaliar, regional king. Mandrakasi Mudaliar was born in Tanjavur in Tamil Nadu. He was appointed as a regional king for the group of islands and surrounding areas in the Jaffna Peninsula, outlined in the map of Jaffna Kingdom. His palace was in Kalapumi, Karadevu Island. He married Princess Abhiransi of Narandani. She was the daughter of Narasimhan, the regional king of Jaffna Kingdom. He controlled all islands and other regions with naval base and armed forces for Jaffna Kingdom. When Portuguese waged the final war against Jaffna Kingdom with 5,000 strong troops with cannons and guns, the Tamil army was ill-equipped, began to face defeat. Villiar and the king planned to go to Tamil Nadu and organize troops from Tamil Nadu to fight back. Unfortunately, the Portuguese were aware and surrounded the palace in Kalapumi. Under Mudaliar command, the Tamil army prepared to fight to the finish. As you can see, Tamil army was massacred by Portuguese and the King Mudaliar died in the battlefield in 1619 AD. Portuguese ransacked the palace and destroyed everything without leaving any evidence for their brutal crime. Their close families were killed and some of them moved to rural areas. Others came back to Tamil Nadu. Number of them were forcefully converted to follow Roman Catholic religion. Portuguese destroyed more than 500 Saiva Hindu temples for the sake of Jesus and Mary, Mariam, Jewish peasant lady, and brutally killed thousands of Tamils after capturing the Jaffna kingdom. Arumainathan. My father, Arumainathan, was born in 1915 after nearly 300 years of Mudaliar death and fall of Jaffna kingdom. He was the direct seventh generation of late King M. Mudaliar. He emerged as a highly influential regional leader, same as the great-grandfather Mudaliar. He led high moral, simple life and maintained relationship with Tamil Nadu relations like his forefathers. He was elected local government chairman and possessed many honorable positions. In latter part of his life, he carried out research with his learned Tamil Pandits friends to trace back the final battle panorama in between the Tamils and the Portuguese colonialists took place in Kalabhumi in Karadeep. He passed his research to me and my elder brothers Tavanathan and Sarvanathan. They continued the research and concluded that the Kalabhumi was the final battleground where our grandfather Mudaliar died in the battlefield in 1619 to protect the Jaffna kingdom and the king Sangli Kumar. The Mudaliar lost the battle. The king was arrested and later killed in Goa, India by Portuguese. Portuguese never morally justified their crimes and officially apologized to Eelam Tamils. We don't need any compensation from the Portuguese government because Portugal is a poor nation and struggling to look after the poor Portuguese people. My father, Ramanathan, died on 6th of November 1978. This was the end of the Honorable Mudaliar legacy. Tamils don't simply give up, they fight to the finish to preserve their older civilization. Thank you very much.